Hi, my name's Henry Wendler, and today I'm going to be doing my presentation on the rise and fall of Alaskan seafood. Introduction. Alaska remains as one of the most beautiful places on Earth. It is by far the largest state within the United States. The untouched land of Alaska makes the state a popular tourist attraction. Alaska is rich in natural resources such as oil, lumber, and gold. Another heavily abundant resource in Alaska is seafood. Over the years, populations of many wild fish and crustaceans have risen and fallen. Native Americans have been harvesting these animals, especially salmon, for thousands of years. Even to this day, the tradition of preserving and harvesting salmon remains strong. Seafood is one of the largest industries in Alaska. Each year, on average, 75 million salmon are harvested from Alaskan waters. Commercial fishing for salmon began in the late 1800s, after the United States purchased Alaska for $7.2 million in 1867. The harvest of these fish began shortly after. Many fishermen migrated from places such as Italy and Norway to harvest wild Alaskan salmon. During the time of harvest, canneries were becoming more prevalent across the west coast, which ended up spreading to Alaska in order to preserve them. In the 1970s, biologists wanted to aid the catch of salmon due to the decline of fish. Alaska then came up with the idea of hatching salmon and mixing them with other wild Alaskan salmon to aid the declining populations. New rules of harvest were also set, limiting the number of fishing vessels. It took nearly 20 years, but with the help of the state-run hatcheries and non-profit private hatcheries, as well as the new harvesting rules, the population of salmon was restored. In 1984, 133 million salmon were harvested from Alaskan waters. Years later, in 2013, Alaska was able to harvest 280 million salmon. Importance of salmon to Alaska. Commercial fishing for salmon in Alaska has been on the rise for many reasons. First off, it provides thousands of jobs and some of the most favored fish across the world. Not only does it provide food across the world, it also supports families and communities across Alaska by providing food. Many Alaskan residents partake in salmon fishing with a hook and line, as well as a dip net in order to fill up their freezers for winter. Sadly, in recent years, marine environments have become more polluted, which is harmful to the population of salmon. Scientists have found that salmon are carrying pollutants in select areas of Alaska. Marine environments, especially spawning grounds for these fish, are becoming filled with litter, which is leading to a lower number of eggs hatched. Alaska crab. Salmon isn't the only prized animal that dwells in Alaskan waters. Alaska crab is prized due to its rich flavor and flaky meat. The crabs in Alaska vary. They're snow indigenous, but the biggest of them all, Alaska king crab. These crabs are favored due to their massive size. Crabs are typically found in deep waters, which makes them a little bit more difficult to catch compared to their salmon counterparts. For the 2021-2022 crab fishing season in Alaska, the catch of red king crab was canceled due to low populations of these animals. Alaska Department of Fish and Game was not able to aid populations of these crabs like they do with wild salmon. Conclusion. Due to Alaska's massive size, it provides an extensive amount of resources. Since the United States has purchased Alaska from Russia, the fishing industry has exploded within Alaska. With the demand for fish high since the first canneries opened up in Alaska, populations of fish have risen and fallen many times. But with a well-funded Alaska Department of Fish and Game, scientists have watched over these animals and put new rules and new regulations on the catch of these fish. We are also provided with lakes to catch fish sustainably, as well as other plentiful species such as pollock. So next time you enjoy a piece of Alaskan fish, choose something sustainable to preserve this resource for future generations to come.